Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Oh, You podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Oh, You podcast. We are here today with Avi Kirshtein, and I'm really proud of myself that I called you Avi because the first Kirshtein I met was your brother Asher, who we'll talk about a little bit later.
I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, and then there's another brother.
There's several.
There's a couple others. Okay, so Avi, I'm just going to keep saying Avi
Perfect.
to remind myself of who you are.
Okay.
Avi is the city director of Yachad Brooklyn.
I am.
And he spends a lot of time here in the headquarters. Lots of people have gotten to know you, but they don't really know you like they'll know you now. So let's jump into it. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Avi, as you very aptly said. I am from Charleston, South Carolina originally.
How many other OU employees from Charleston, South Carolina?
As far as I know, it's me.
Okay.
Although
I think there's one rabbi. Maybe.
Yeah, Rabbi Hoberman downstairs. He was the rabbi there for a bit. It was very exciting when he came here. I was like, oh yeah, someone I know. Right on. Because that's not usually so common for the Charleston folk.
Not a big area of recruitment for the OU. For some
right,
reason.
right. Maybe there's maybe they
Not
should
yet.
start. You know, we
Okay.
don't. Could be. Yeah. So I was born and raised there. When I was 14, I went to a boarding school in Memphis.
Is that why is that? Is there a big Orthodox Jewish community in South Carolina?
Not so big. So to continue Jewish education, I made the decision to move away from home. And
how was that?
It was one of the best decisions I ever made. I loved it. I had a great time there.
You started off in Addlestone Hebrew Academy.
Yes.
Which was the place that you've talked about that motivated you to succeed academically.
Sure.
Then you went to Cooper in Memphis.
Yes, I did.
Right? Cooper Yeshiva High School for Boys. The place that motivated you to succeed
socially?
Socially is correct.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Why is that?
Why is that? It started with a canoe trip.
It all starts with
canoe started with a canoe trip. We at the beginning of every school year, we go on this canoe trip off of a tributary off the Mississippi River.
Who's we?
Our school.
School. Okay.
Whole group. And it's an all-boys school, so the closest thing we have to prom is like finding our canoe partner. And so we were all asking around. Some of the canoe partner I got was equally bad at directions as I was, and we got lost. So we ended up shifting to the wrong area. There was like a waterfall involved, which we kind of got out and let the canoe do what it did, which was the safe measure there.
Right. What should I ask? What did the canoe do?
It fell and like hit a bunch of stuff. So it was much better that you were
not in it.
Okay. Exactly. So right after that, my canoe partner was in charge of the school newspaper. So he asked me to like write an article about this whole experience. So I did. And like, that was my first sort of moment where like the whole community kind of knew who I was because I made it more funny than scary. So, and I started realizing like I could use comic relief to kind of ease tensions in rooms and make people happy. Which
it seems like you've gotten quite adept at it.
Oh, thank God! Yeah.
So the canoe didn't fare so well in that story, but you came out okay.
Yeah. No, we both came out pretty unscathed. Just a couple minor cuts and bruises, and we like went through a box of tissues the next day because it was like 60 degrees in the water, and we were there for a couple hours. But yeah, we were.
Got it.
We ended up being safe.
Have you been back in a canoe since?
Yes, we. In order to maintain journalistic integrity in the story, we were canoe partners again and again and again, in order to keep the saga going and dominate that sort of tributary off the Mississippi.
Sounds like an interesting chapter in your autobiography someday. Should you write it?
Should I write it? I'm sure that would make it at some point.
Now, you're the oldest of four.
Yes.
Brothers, all pretty close in age?
Yeah. My parents like to say that they had the same kid 4 times.
Yeah.
So I was born in '94, and then there was another kid 2 years later, another kid 4 years after that, another kid 2 years after that.
Okay, so you're 4 years old. Right at this point, there was one sibling, one brother, two brothers were in the scene, and you might have not been behaving so well. And your father put you in a timeout.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure, that story. Yes. Yeah. So my father is an avid Chicago Bears fan, and then I was a
Is
Bears
that because
fan.
he's from Chicago, or?
No, we were born before the Carolina Panthers were a thing.
Uh-huh.
Also, they're the North Carolina Panthers, so
Got
we're
it.
not like really into them. I grew up being a Bears fan, but then when I was about 4, my dad, he gave me a timeout that I did not deserve. I did not kick the dog, and I was so upset that I was falsely accused. So I told him I refused to like the Chicago Bears for another second, and I randomly picked the Denver Broncos, and that has stuck.
Okay, now let's. It's a few years later.
Sure.
Did you really not kick the dog?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I remember that. Like, all I remember was I had bed sheets of all the team logos on it, and I just switched from the Bears to the Broncos, which I think was like the next.
Got it.
The one next to it.
CD, Denver,
Right.
from Chicago. Got it. But Broncos. You know what they're known for?
These days, losing.
Oh, yes, in football. But I mean, like the actual horse that's a Bronco, they kick.
They do kick.
Right, so that's a little bit of an auspicious choice for you right after denying that you... I'm not reading you psychologically, but if I were...
Believe it or not, 26 years, and that's never occurred to me.
Right.
So,
okay, and you've learned it here first. Folks, when you come on the OU podcast, you
learn
learn
more
about yourself.
You learn more about yourself. That's
There
true.
you go. There you go. So it seems like you had this sort of sense of playfulness from an early age.
Absolutely. Playfulness, but I was also afraid of conflict. When I was 5, my teacher, she gave me milk and then took it away and said, "Oh, I forgot you're allergic to milk," and gave me water. And I said, "Thank you so much." But I wasn't allergic to milk. So I just didn't drink milk for a year because I didn't want to
make her feel bad.
Right. It got really crazy because I went to my cousin's house and they gave me milk. I'm like, "I'm so sorry, I'm allergic. I can't have that." And then she told my mom, and my mom was like, "What's going on? You're not allergic to milk." I'm like, "Right, but I'm in too deep at this point. We can't tell the teacher that I'm not allergic to milk because I could get in some serious trouble for lying at this point."
Okay. Conflict avoidance leads to humorous situations.
Yeah.
Not paying attention leads to humorous situations. And not kicking the dog.
Absolutely.
So everything is about avoidance with you.
It seems that way. I mean, I'm always, I avoid everything but laughter. So.
Okay, well, we embrace that. We embrace that. Do you get a lot of laughter at the OU? Do you find humorous opportunities here?
Almost always.
Yeah.
I think the most prominent one is obviously when the pandemic hit. And
yeah, it's a barrel of laughs.
Right. So it was a lot going on, but a lot of our clientele in Yachad were looking for ways to laugh, and I started an improv workshop, a comedy club on Zoom that became quite popular, and I still run it once a month over Zoom. And
that's great. I'm surprised with my sense of humor that I haven't been invited to I'm just kidding.
You have an open invitation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just figured you had better things to do.
Never than comedy. But this wasn't your first improv group that you had started, right?
No, I helped start the Yeshiva University Improv Club, which was that was a great time. I really loved doing that. We performed at YU, on the men's campus, on the women's campus. One of the few of the clubs in New York City.
Really?
And it was a blast. It was a great time, and I do miss that era of my life.
But you're still doing a little bit of improv with Yachad.
Yes, twice a week.
Could you do some improv over here for us right now? Do I have to throw you a scenario or some kind of scene or?
Sure.
Okay, so imagine you're on a podcast.
Okay.
With your boss.
All right.
Of Rami Adler or whoever it is that you'd like to.
Sure.
Right. And you have to talk about your favorite story in Tanakh.
Usually my favorite story in Tanakh is the story of David and Goliath. I enjoy like the larger characters in Tanakh. Goliath. I enjoy Og, Melech HaBashan. He's fun.
I wonder what would happen in a scenario where Og Melech HaBashan was pit against a polar bear in a
Right.
match. What would that be like?
Right, that's the golden question. So yeah, there was actually it's a very, very well planted question. I actually taught a whole shiur about this one Shavuos, where I went through the various specs and ops of polar bears and whether or not they could beat those characters in a fight. Og, it would not be a close competition. Og is giant, according to most people. Goliath would be more the polar bear in like round 2 or 3. And I think Shimshon also easily, because I mean, obviously you can't, 200 foxes versus 1 polar bear. It's tough to measure these things, but I, in my mental math, I determined polar bears are vicious, but not that vicious.
Okay.
Fun fact about polar bears.
Yeah.
If you ever see a polar bear in the wild,
Yeah.
its sense of smell is good enough that odds are it's been following you for a while. So
Yeah.
do your best to go find some cover.
How do you find cover from a polar bear? Asking for a friend.
Go back inside. That's really the
Okay.
the moral of the story.
And if you're outside,
if you're outside, your best friend is going to be a Kadosh Baruch Hu at that point, because you're not going to have so much of a chance.
So one passion that you found in college was improv, right?
Absolutely.
But you found another passion in college as well.
Oh, yes. I started volunteering for Yachad.
How come?
How come? I found Camp Hask, and then someone who worked for Yachad was at Camp Hask that summer and brought me on to start volunteering and working for Yachad. And I kind of set out saying, I'm going to work for Yachad until it's no longer fun. And it's still fun, so here I am.
That's great. How many years ago was that?
I have been working as a full-time employee with Yachad since 2018, but I was working part-time since 2015. It was funny. The person who interviewed me, he said, "Would you like to work for Yachad?" And I was like, "No, thanks." And then he's like, well, how about you just like hear me out and you can come to Chop Chop for dinner on Yachad. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I love dinner on other people. So
it all started with some free food.
Yeah, it ended up being the most expensive free food I've ever had in my life because I'm still here.
Right.
But
almost 10 years later. Yeah.
I'm so thankful I'm still here.
We're thankful that you're here too.
Appreciate
We're thankful that you're here too. And then at one point, you decided that you were going to run in the Yachad half marathon.
Oh, yes. I got tricked into that.
You got a halfway through the half, right?
Yeah.
And what happened?
Halfway through the half, I stepped on some uneven ground and I sprained my ankle, or I twisted it. And so the last like 7.1 miles of this thing were a real drag. I limped my way through. I made it. But it was such an amazing experience to like have that checked off, because I'm not a runner. That's not my it's not my area, but it was a great time and met some wonderful people along the way.
We're going to go into a section now called Rapid Fire.
Oh, sure.
Okay, and there are no wrong answers except for the wrong answers.
Great.
The first question we have for you is, what was the title of your job when you first started at Yachad?
Oh, that is a great question. I don't think anyone knows the answer to it.
That's correct, actually. Nobody does. So you get points.
My job was just to do whatever I was told for the first like 6 months of being here. And like a lot of that involved printing things out or making phone calls or making the Google Maps for Shabbatons. But yeah, no, there was no title. I showed up and there was a paycheck involved. So
apparently it worked out.
I didn't question it.
All right, but jumping into some of these questions.
Sure.
All right. I'll give you options, right? And then you can choose. What department did Yachad start under? NCSY, JLIC, Israel Free Spirit, accounting.
Okay, so accounting is very tempting here. I would guess NCSY though.
That's correct. How many issues has Jewish Action published? Comes out quarterly, right? Okay, so 155, 180, 183, or 200?
Ooh. 183 would be my guess, but is it 200? Oh,
Soon we'll get to your number.
yeah, absolutely. I was an optimist about that
Yeah.
question.
Which of these fruits is a berry? Oranges, strawberries, bananas, or avocados?
Bananas.
Look at you. You are Mr. Outdoors person. Okay. How does it feel to be famous after your viral reel that has over 150,000 views?
That's still sitting in. I didn't realize it had that many. I also kind of just feel like I'm getting a lot of credit for something I didn't make. I just kind of did what I was told, and and like I had a great time with it because it was a fun concept. But yeah, I'm trying to stay humble about it.
Okay, well, you stay humble. You stay humble. That's great. I've been asking you a lot of questions.
Oh,
Do you have any questions for me?
sure. Question number 1. What are you most hoping I ask you right now?
I was most hoping that you ask me what my favorite joke is.
Oh, what is your favorite joke?
It's the next joke that you're going to say.
I like that. It's good stuff.
See how
Okay.
the jujitsu thing
I do
here
like
is
that.
working? Yeah.
Okay. Question number 2. If human bodies are 98.6 degrees, why is 80 hot?
You know, I'm Canadian, so I'm on the whole Celsius. You
Why
guys
is
are on the
30 hot?
Yeah, I still don't know.
Got it. Sure. That's fair. Okay. Question number 3.
Yeah. When I said one question, did that not that didn't register? So
I
one
wanted
in
to,
South Carolina means multiple. I got it.
it just means keep going until
Keep going
the
until
stop.
someone stops you.
Right.
Okay, fine.
So I guess yeah. Question number 3.
Yeah.
What inspires you to keep doing what you're doing these days?
What inspires me is opportunities like this. To get to sit down with somebody who has dedicated their lives to the Jewish people, to Yachad, to the OU, to spending a little time with me, sharing what they're up to, and sharing with everybody what they're up to. It's great. That's what I enjoy. I enjoy the people. I enjoy being with them and learning about them and watching them do amazing stuff. Even if I haven't yet been on the improv night, but just knowing that exists and that you're there and that your energy and your personality is positively impacting people. That for me is like that's worth all of the everything.
That's a great answer.
Thank you.
I like it.
What's the biggest lesson you've learned at Yachad?
I think the biggest lesson I learned at Yachad is not everything is going to be perfect, and that's okay. I learned that lesson every day. But one particular story that jumps to mind is I was on a Shabbaton, and I was walking with a participant to his seat in shul, and he had a siddur in his hand. And he opened it and he looked confused, and I looked and I saw that it was the English and Russian siddur. And he doesn't speak any Russian, so I was like, "Oh, let me get you a new siddur." So I go back, I grab the siddur and I walk back. I take the siddur out of his hand. I say, "Here, use this one instead." And I look up and it's not the guy that I was paired with. It was a random community member. So I walked up to a random person in shul. I ripped the siddur out of his hand, replaced it with an identical copy and said, "Here, use that instead." And that's like mortifyingly embarrassing to do. But like being able to just kind of quickly laugh at yourself and like apologize and then go to the row in front of you and keep moving. That's the kind of thing that I like really embrace and look forward to every day at my job.
Yeah, well, I think that we all could take a nice lesson from that we all have the opportunity to make mistakes. And then if we can just sort of laugh at ourselves and move forward, it probably helps everybody involved.
Right.
Especially the people who might be shocked that they have the exact same siddur that they had a few
Right.
minutes ago. Okay, so just to end off here, what bracha would you give the OU?
The bracha I would give the OU is everyone involved should be getting double of what they put in to the work that they do. I think that is I'm in such awe of everybody around me and like all the things that they're doing to better the Jewish community and make the world a better place. So I think I think each individual part of the team should get double of what they're putting in.
Thank you for that bracha. We'll give that bracha right back to you 2 times. So you
Oh,
get 4 times, not
4
just
times.
2 times. Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much for being here. It was great. We learned a lot. We laughed a little bit, maybe even a lot. And we really appreciate it. Keep doing the great work that you're doing at Yachad.
Thank you for having me. This has been a blast.